In 2015, Adam Moorhauser made the switch to a precision planter.
I was getting tired of all the overlapping that I was planting, and I wanted to get to this new technology where you could shut the rows off on the planter. And I was wanting to save money on input costs is what I was really looking at, and also improving yields as you were doing that.
And now his crop production has become less of a guess and more of an exact science. From rows on his planter that automatically shut on and off to reduce overlap,
The GPS knows when you come across a path that's already been planted, it'll shut those rows off so you're not planting them. You can plant it in a circle and you can drive right through it and it'll shut the planter right off when you're going through it.
to variable rates of planting to maximize seed potential on specific types of ground.
We planted a 35-acre field. I usually use 12 bags of seed corn, and we only used 11, and we came out with the best crop we've ever had off of there. So,
Precision ag technology allows the life cycle of every crop on Moorhauser's production to be tracked, measured, and analyzed. Data is collected using a puck that he places in his machinery such as a planter, combine, or sprayer. That data is stored and gives Moorhauser the ability to track nearly every detail about his crops. He can pinpoint exact locations where fungicides were sprayed, track performances of different types of seed variations, and compare each year's yield performance for every field.
like on that field where I had the varying populations on there, it has it all broken down on the population where it was at. So that under 16,000 was still right at 140 or 150 bushel an acre, you know, which was really good for that piece of ground, because I think before it was only like 25 or so. So it gave you that. So as well, it kind of gives you confidence that you're doing the right thing. And then it gives you all the populations. It'll tell you what the yield was on it. So it's really nice that way.
Having a history of everything Moorhauser did to a crop allows him to continually refine his production down to any location of any field.
I can draw here, hopefully. There we go. And I can just go like this here. Okay, and I'll bring it up here to that region of what it did right there. That's kind of the poorer ground there, and that's what it still did. So it's really nice to know what areas, if you have a really good area, like over here in this corner, you could pull that up and you can see what that corner did. So it's a little slow. The internet's a little slow, I think, for keeping up with it right now.
Speaking of slow internet, connectivity is key. Ryan Wagner is a producer near Roslyn. He says cell service has made a big difference in his family's operation over the past decade.
When I first moved back, cell phone service was not great around here, and cell coverage has improved a lot since then. So it's allowed us to use some websites and apps and things to remotely control devices on the farm, you know, whether it be the bin fans or the dryer or whatever. And data collection has just been another big thing. Every field pass that we go through the field, we're collecting some sort of data, and we're able to use that and monitor that just in various different ways, but a lot of it has to do with the web connectivity that's improved a lot on the farm.
The bin technology Wagner uses helps him monitor the moisture content of grain stored in his bins.
What I'm going to show you is what we call the bin manager system that allows us to remotely monitor drying fans on the bins, and it will turn them on and turn them off based on weather conditions that are optimal for drying the grain that's inside the bins.
Each bin has a weather station that senses outside temperature and humidity. Wagner tells the system what he wants the grain moisture and temperature to be inside the bin. The system then runs autonomously, turning the dryers on and off based on the optimal conditions for drying the grain inside.
Each bin has a picture of the bin, basically, so there's cables that drop down through it and sensors all the way up and down the cables, so you can actually visibly see the drying front moving through the grain from bottom to top as the grain dries.
Wagner says the old way of drying meant leaving fans on 24 hours a day. Although sometimes they still do depending on the weather, his overall dry time is cut in half. The technology gives producers a peace of mind about stored grain and saves money on electricity. Some electric co-ops even have pilot programs to reduce electric rates if this technology is used.
You'd like to use them. You'd like to store grain as long as possible to capture the best price farther out, you know, when the market conditions are telling you to sell. So it's helped us with that, to be just know what's in there, know the quality, and know what's going on inside the bin. I think even this technology, when we first put it in, is advancing. Now we can get a 3D picture of what the bin looks like, where before it was just kind of a two-dimensional view and an average, more or less.
Wagner says technology continues to change, and there's much more potential to help him do his job. He says equipment is larger and more efficient.
Sub-inch accuracy GPS now drives the tractors and the combines, where we were driving with the steering wheel before. So things like that have been around a while, and a lot of guys have that now. But in the future, I don't know. It's hard to imagine where it's going to go, but a lot of it could revolve around robotics. Maybe in the future, I think the equipment could get smaller again. You'd have, instead of a big combine or tractor running around out there, you'd have a fleet of robots doing the same job, and you'd program them to do that. So I don't know how far off that kind of stuff is, but they're developing that now, and it's probably closer than we think.